Welcome to the Suicide Monk, and I am your host. My name is Britton. So what I think I'm going to be doing for the Christmas season is doing some short videos, in that 15 to 30 minute, maybe 45-minute long sessions that are solo, these are tough times of the year, even, especially for me. They're very difficult. They are not so much anymore, but I still go through the process of trying to navigate that so I stay safe. Basically, that's really in my mind, and a lot of on a little bit on the backstory is that a lot of just abusive situations during the holidays. So these and a lot of you relate to that, and that. So basically, I'm just going to process this in front of you and process the things that I've been struggling with. And now that you've seen my post psilocybin journey, this is the process of the post work. And I go through struggles differently now. I welcome them a lot more. I feel like it's opportunity to better myself and improve, and then pass that on. I heard this really cool quote the other day, and I don't know where I heard it. Now, if you know who it is, tag them. But it is, your gifts are not your own, and I've been thinking about that and kind of mulling that over. And our gifts are to give away. They're also, what I'm learning is for us to learn from them as we give them away. And that's what's been kind of happening. I have these little moments where I'll say things that are kind of profound. And I'm like, where did that come from? I couldn't put this together a lot of times. So I keep surprising myself in a positive manner and outcome. And I'm in a tough spot right now, and mentally, and I'm getting to know the depths of who I am in that. It's pretty profound in the struggle that I'm going through, and I'm going to talk about that in the video. But it really messed me up pretty bad, and took me down that road. But it also pushed me in a position I've never been in. And I think, well, I'll talk about it in the next video. So that's kind of the plan over the Christmas season until the next season starts. So it'll be pretty solo unless somebody shows up and is like, hey, you want to do a podcast? But I think I'm also considering going live on Christmas, probably Christmas Eve. Because that is one of the biggest times that people struggle. So I'm going to go live, figure this out, and see if I can figure out how to do it and do a Q&A, and just invite you guys, you people, gonna invite you people in, just invite all of you in to have a discussion with me. That's probably more of an appropriate sentence. So yeah, I think that will be it for this, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. I got a good season coming up next season. We get some really interesting and beautiful people on the podcast. One of those is a supporter. Well, just an amazing story. Just blew me away. It gave me more respect for our country and the patriots that are out there. It's just amazing. Just blows me away. It gives me a newfound respect for our armed forces and what they go through and what they have to deal with, and when they come home and how they do that. So how they navigate it, how they fumble through it. And it's tough for these guys and these men and women. And so that's going to be a little bit more of my focus the next season, is talking to vets, first responders, some of these guys and these men and women that say guys, they're, you know what, if you don't like my language, so what? It's these people that serve our country, and I want to bring some recognition to that, because there's it's a very, very high suicide rate per day. It's 22 per day in the veterans, and I believe, if I'm correct, which I don't know, I have to look at the statistics on this, but I believe when I was talking to one of my interviews, it was on. Oh, it was the rate of suicide in active duty, and that's a problem, and that's an epidemic, as well as veterans. That's not good. So just going to try to bring some light to that this next season. It won't be full military, but first responders and people that have gone through this, and they're in the midst of this really double struggle, basically. And what I mean by that is, a lot of these people have trauma in their life, and then they go out every day and expose themselves to trauma. So it's we just don't really understand what they go through. I have an idea, because I was a volunteer fireman for a little while. I saw things that still stick with me today. I was only a volunteer fireman for a year, and I only saw a few fires and several deaths, but it was enough to really impact my mind, and it still does. Like, I still see the faces that I pulled out of cars, the kids. Those things don't generally. I don't even think mine was even that graphic, and it stuck with me. So if you can imagine that, and somebody that's doing this day in and day out for years, and what they go through, and the traumas and the things that they bring home, and the whatever, I don't even know at this point, because I haven't done the interviews, but we'll find out. So, and these are the struggles that I want to bring to light, because all of these struggles are symptoms of a bigger problem, and they all lead to the bottom. So, in some form or fashion, not all of them lead there, but, and not just necessarily they all, somebody can have them all, and conglomerately can come, whatever. They don't necessarily become suicidal, but you can have one thing and it takes you down a dark road, and we discount that in our minds, that that's not a valid story, because it's not that big a deal. But why do I feel this way? So I want to bring some light to my suicidal thinking, how I processed that before, and how I'm processing that now. I have some default reactions that I'm working on, so that's a big deal for me. Anger, frustration, impatience, gosh, you name it, self-doubt, confidence, all that stuff. Like, those things, I've not had a lot of confidence in my life, which created a lack in security and stuff like that. Like, it's just a snowball effect. So I want to talk about some of those things. I want you to talk to me about some of those things that you struggle with in those areas, like OCD, anxiety. It doesn't even have to be severe. Like, just, I don't know. There's so many things out there. It's hard. Like, my brain just smashes in it. So I'd love to hear from you guys. As far as what would be helpful on the channel. If the content for you has been going well, if it's good, I never expected to be here on this far along. So this new season will produce something very interesting. I have no idea what that looks like yet. I have ideas, but part of that is me changing some things around in my own personal life so I can feel better and be better. And I'm doing that. So that is the goal. And then I want to share that journey with you a little bit. So, psilocybin it's not a cure-all. It is a catalyst that broke down some very big walls that I built from a very young age. And those things are coming to light now. Those things I built those walls around. And that is terrifying. Honestly, it's very terrifying because there's gaps in my memory at a young age that I have filled a story in that may not be true. But now these things I thought it was done. I thought those things were gone. Like I didn't have to worry about my childhood because I thought when I was going to do the psilocybin journey, that would reveal anything that I'd forgotten. Well, now we're getting down the road and it's starting to. So that neuroplasticity is creating something in me things are getting harder for me. But I don't mean that in a bad way. Like it's a good way. It's just a very scary, walk now because I don't know some of these things, but I know I need to face them. Because those memories might be important. Maybe not. I don't know. I was really hoping not to go down that road, but I'm going to. Like and hopefully I run into nothing and it's a false alarm, and I'm going to talk about that in the video. So I guess watch the video. And that is this next video will be a segue off the last one where I got in a verbal altercation with a friend, and it sent me to a dark place. So I'll talk a little bit more about how that process is laid out and what I've done in the meantime to start to, I don't know how to really say it other than come down off of that experience, because I absorbed it in a way that I've never absorbed it before. So it's very interesting for me to look at this and figure out, or at least try to figure out, or at least move past this, why I reacted the way I reacted. My body reacted the way it did. So, there's an old trauma there, I think that, or an old protection or something. I don't know. We'll find out. So I haven't really figured that out. I'm going to meditate on it. I'm going to do my thing and try to just enter into facing these things. So part of that is meditation for me. And so I'll let you know how that goes. But yeah, I guess watch the video and I'll see you on the good side. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the reaction I had to the altercation or the verbal altercation I had with my friend and how that affected me. It's not really about them or if they did anything wrong, or that's not the point. It's something triggered in me and my body reacted. I've never had that happen. And I kind of walked through this alone for a day. And then I talked to a friend who's kind of walking with me and kind of helping me and guiding and listening to my shenanigans and stuff like that. And what I figured out was it was an old memory somehow, and I don't remember the memory. It's more like an old feeling that happened. It was I contracted in my body. Everything kind of went. I don't know how else to explain this, but electrified, and I started shutting down. Um, my brain started shutting down. I was stepping back, and I was like, Brittany, you need to shut up. 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 And I couldn't shut up. I was like, what in the world? This hit me from a different angle than I've ever experienced. And it was because of a trauma response that I didn't know I had. And I think I had that trauma response, at least this makes sense to me right now, is because for the last 6 months, I have not been in fight or flight. I haven't been living I don't live in fear anymore. So it flooded me with fear and anxiety and abandonment, and everything like flooded in. Even though those things weren't on the table, it was just my reaction, just all the windows shut. Like it was just like chung, 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 like nobody's getting in. And so what that did for me is give me opportunity to look into my past in a way that I never have before. It's scary. I'm terrified. I'm actually very, very, very scared, honestly. And I've always been scared of the gap because I don't remember, and I don't want to face, if there's something there, I don't want to face it because it could be anything. And I fear what it could be. And hopefully it's not any of those things. And, you go through these scenarios in your mind and you're like, well, I'm just making up stories to fit a narrative that I'm broken. And I don't want to do that either. So I would like to face whatever is, there's something pushing on me that I don't really understand yet. Internally, a little bit, externally, mostly. And I don't know how to explain that, but the frustration does not feel like it used to. The anger does not feel like it used to. It does not feel like an internal source now. It doesn't feel like I've got this thing bottled up in me that I have to control. It's like something's beating on the outside of the house that I cleaned, and it's like pissing me off. And I don't know how else to explain that or put it in context, but I guess that's why I'm talking about this, so I can share this with you and share that journey with you. So and maybe it's a hope thing, that it's possible to get through these really, really difficult things that haunt you. I mean, that's what I want to do, is I want to bring that kind of hope, because that's the only reason I'm alive. It's like, what else are you going to do? So, it'll be interesting for me to lay this out for myself. It's hard. It's stressful. I couldn't face it yesterday. I was nauseous. Man, I got my words. Me. I tried talking about it. I was really nauseous over it too. So, and even today, I couldn't really talk about it very well. But it's getting better, and I kind of want it to stay here for a minute so I can recognize the things that I need to do for me, so I can share with you. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Tell me what you think. If you don't want to hear my raspy old voice, then I'll shut up and keep interviewing. So otherwise, I'm happy to share some of my struggles, my journey. Again, psilocybin didn't fix me. It didn't cure me. All it did was tear down. What it really did, and the most important thing it did for me, was tear down all the lies that I built around the narrative that I had for my life. And that narrative fed my suicide ideology. So what I'm saying is that the ideology is not necessarily gone. It is kind of an ethereal smoke, but it did smack me in the face the other day too. So it's like, it came and uppercut. I mean, it hit me hard. And I was like, but I stepped back from it. I was able to step back from that and say, okay, that's your option on the table. Why is that your option on the table? And this is where we're at right now. As my body reacted to that response, my brain started to shut down too. And that was my reactive, that embedding, what would you, that it's not really, what would you say there? It's not really indoctrination. It's, I don't know. It's this thing that, well, it's a few things. It was comfortable for me to have that rage because it protected me. It was comfortable because I knew safety in that arena, even though it's a very unsafe reaction. It kept me safe internally, even though I was tormented mentally because of that. It kept me safe, if that makes sense. I didn't like it. I don't like it. I don't like being angry. I hate being angry. I know it's a part of life. I know it's a natural emotion. I know it's, when used properly, it can be a very good tool. Don't want to use it too often because I would rather humble myself, let go of my pride, and have a conversation. And so that's what I mean, I kind of did that today. I called my friend. I was like, I don't want to be I'm not angry. They're not angry, but I wanted to restart re-entering back into conversation, just not into what they said, what I said. And that's what I did. And, I took ownership for my stuff. And, I know my nature. I don't know everything I said. Sometimes it's a blank. But I know I can be very ugly. So I apologize for that. And they were very gracious, for, that forgiveness. And that's who I want to be. I want to be this person that's not bound by my frustration of what somebody else did or what I did. I want to give myself enough grace, and that's what I'm doing. Is I behaved in a way that was unbecoming. So instead of beating myself up, I step back from it, and I'm giving myself grace to go through this time to work really hard on something that has tormented me my whole life. So I don't think that's going to be cured in a few months, 6 months. But I am working diligently and hard on this thing that really controlled a lot of my life. And that's just one thing. So, this is the most difficult thing in my path, and this is what I want to work on, and this is where I'm at. And I know what I need to do. I need to put tools in place that are there for that moment of recognition when anger starts or frustration starts, or I need to know that meter for myself so I know when to walk away from myself. And that, I think that will help me move forward in a lot of different ways. Because there's, even in rage or just about anything, as far as I know, there's a moment. Well, I'll speak for anger. There's a moment before it escalates, and that is this moment of frustration. And if you can capture that moment, you can walk away. And that was some of the best advice I've ever been given. And that's when I started walking away a long time ago. And sometimes it's really hard to walk away. Sometimes I don't. And sometimes I fail miserably. I need to know how to prevent that. So I'm very hyper aware of who I am. I'm very acute to how I react to things. So I'm got a lot of the battle. I got about 50% of that battle, won because of recognition. Now I know I can do something about it. I just don't know the full problem. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm going to sit with this until I start to understand how to navigate. I think this is going to be in parts for me. I'm going to sit with this until those parts start coming up, and I have to put them in front of me and do something different about those. I don't know what that is. I know my life is changing because of, meditation and exercise and doing this and cooking for myself now and just working really hard to improve my life because I have a new opportunity to, and I have the energy and the motivation and the vigor for life to do so. So that's what I'm going to do. And I don't know what that looks like, but I'm kind of interested to see what I become because I have no idea what I can become. I've always been that, and I don't have to be that anymore. So I'm excited. I guess I don't look it, especially since I just snotted. But yeah, I'm so excited for the future. Like the possibilities are like, I don't know what that looks like. And it doesn't really matter because it's going to be fun. So it's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. I've got a lot of challenges ahead of me. I've got so many things that I let go in my life that now I have to rework all that. So, to my own fault. I mean, it's just, I was committed to doing this and I should have just waited to see. But, when you're committed to doing something permanent, then, you tend not to care what you're leaving behind. And well, to my own demise, but that's okay. Now I get to grow from the bottom up, and that's the beautiful thing. Like, I get to see what Britain can become for a change. Won't that be a sight? That ought to be interesting. It will be. It'll be great. It'll be fantastic. And I'll fail in ways that I've never failed before, and I'll get up in ways far stronger than I've ever been before. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Even with my recent struggles, I know what, I know what I'm facing. So it's, in that regard. And one of those big things was the suicide ideology, and it smacked me in the face. And I'm like, okay. So, and that's a thing that like alcoholics struggle with, and alcoholics, when they get sober, is like they have these really, there's these plateaus, or not plateaus, but really high highs that last for a while. And if you're not careful, it'll get you. Mainly because your mind says, "Oh, you're doing good. You can handle it," and it's just tricky. So I was very careful at that. I knew I was going to struggle with a lot of things, all the things that I still struggle with, and I have no problem with that. I'm willing to go and face those head on and do my best. I don't know what my best is right now. I'm going to find out. I'll fail in my best, but I will learn how to be better. So I'm not worried about beating myself up anymore. That stuff is not on the table. I have nowhere to go but succeed. I don't see it any other way now. I don't know why. But other than all those lies broke down for me in my head, that narrative of this terrible story was just a skewed perspective and skewed vision of, yeah, was it hard? Yeah, was it bad? Was it terrible? Yeah, it was. It's also like it, it taught me so much. It gave me so much wisdom in this life that I'm not saying I'm the wisest guy. I'm not saying it's given me so much wisdom from my life. And luckily and thankfully I get to share some of that, and for those that listen, and it helps them. I mean, we all have those gifts. I'm giving it away, and I love giving it away. It's not just about somebody else. It helps me continually remind myself that everybody's important. Everybody has a story. And even though I'm not the smartest guy or the wisest guy or well educated, I have something to give to at least one person. And I think that's still the most important thing, is if there's one person that is affected in a positive way from what I say, then I think that's a success. I think that's a success. I think if it perpetuates them forward, even for today, I think that's success. Because in this realm of suicide ideology, we don't know about tomorrow. But if we just stay today, you can always do it tomorrow. Just stay today. And focus on the day, and focus on improving anything you can about yourself, anything. We give ourselves too little credit for the little things that we struggle with and succeed in. And what I mean by that is, like a lot of people say, make the bed, blah, blah, blah. But it's the little things that you do and get out. You have to eat. You can't live without eating. You can't live without drinking. There's a few things that have to happen or you really do die. And those are successes. So we often discount, I can't do it. I can't, but you are doing something. So quit looking at everything you can't do and look at the things you are doing. And that's my suggestion for today. So I hope to never give advice and push that on somebody, even though we do that in our lives on a pretty regular basis. I think a lot of people do. It's not intentional to push something on somebody because you have something profound that worked for your life. So again, if this is something that you want to hear, I'm happy to, keep exposing myself to the world. So yeah, that's what I'll do. All right. Well, I think that's it for the late night sesh. I need to go to bed. So, Suicide Monk out. I'll see you on the good side. Peace.